All year round, Frontier Home Products and Design has what you need to make your home comfortable and beautiful. Relax on a new timber tech deck designed by Frontier's experts. A new fireplace from Frontier Home Products Fireplace Gallery adds warmth and serenity to any home. Beauty and versatility at Frontier Home Products and Design Center, 4213 Peachtree, East 5th, next to the Bayfront Highway.
Frontier Home Products and Design Center. Discover a new frontier.
PA contractor number PA039007.
From baggage claim to pajamas in 10 minutes. Erie International Airport. Fly with ERI.com.
Fly Erie International Airport to Charlotte on American Airlines, your nonstop gateway to the world. Also, we have Breeze Airways flying nonstop to Orlando and Tampa, Florida. A great low-cost carrier providing excellent service to the regional community. Fly Erie International for your travel needs.
Fly with ERI.com.
Welcome to TalkErie.com's Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast. Every day, we tackle the biggest issues that the Erie, PA region faces. Stay informed and involved as we advance the narrative of Erie. Now, here's Joel Natale.
Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you. Ready for our rigorous conversation today?
Well, let's start on the lighter side here.
Let's ease in.
Let's ease in. I saw you down in Carlisle.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your impression of kind of mixing it up with General Dynamics and all those major defense, military industrial complex
This is
people?
us starting lighter, huh, Joel? This is us easing in.
Yes,
Interesting. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say really grateful to the county executive for her leadership on this issue. You know, she's been pushing it, and she and I had a lot of car time together, a lot of, windshield
You guys
time.
literally
we
drove
drove
down.
together. We had a lot of good time.
That's Thelma and Louise.
We really were. It was pretty great. But, and Infinite Erie. I want to thank Infinite Erie. So a lot of people don't understand that was a trade show in addition to a summit. So Erie had a booth, you were there and you saw it. We were Infinite Erie was really out there selling Erie, talking about why Erie, choose Erie, photos and a lot of data. So Infinite Erie did a great job. Look, what were my impressions? I think we learned a lot. I listened a lot of stuff about workforce. That was my biggest takeaway is skilled trades, advanced manufacturing. These are the jobs. There's a renewed interest. Let's make sure. And let's never forget, this is Erie's history. We're built on the foundation of blue collar work. And what we're talking about here is like the next generation of that. So that was encouraging. And I think both the county executive and I came back feeling like we got to get on this and make sure that we're building those pipelines and those jobs as they come, that our workforce is ready for them. So yeah, it was certainly an interesting couple of days.
Well, and that had to really resonate with you, given your time at the school district, given the whole concept of career and technical education. And I always wonder, given how much pressure is on a teacher to teach to the keystones, right? And then you have, carpentry, auto body, electrical, HVAC.
Yeah. I guess I'll say, though, don't forget, the Keystones are only, 3 subjects, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, they do need to have proficiency there. But at a school like Erie High, huge swaths of the day are dedicated to those labs, they call them. We called them shop when I was there, but labs that are preparing them for careers. So there's still a lot of time in the day for that.
Okay.
And, I'm always supportive of those programs at Erie High. I think they're phenomenal. But then we also have community college in this space. ECAT is in this space. Certainly the VOTEC school. We've got it here. We just need to connect. That's my big thing is we got to find these young people, these families who are, for the most part, living in poverty and connect them to these pipelines. They're going to lead them to a living wage job.
And we got to elevate the value of that education
Absolutely.
to every neighborhood, to every community.
Right. And how I'm thinking about that is we have to find champions. And I've been giving this a lot of thought. We have to find champions from those communities, from those neighborhoods to really speak in a way that, I can't. Or, maybe, Don Orlando, the principal of Very High, maybe can't. But real champions that they know to say, you got to do this, and kind of that warm handoff. That's where my head is at when I left Carlisle.
All right, let's get off the soft stuff.
Oh, get off the military industrial complex.
Yes.
Great.
Kevin Sparks, again, You made a recent press conference. Weren't really able to say a whole heck of a lot, but what do you want the listeners to understand about that whole thing?
Well, first, I mean, I understand why so much of the community is concerned about what they saw. I mean, the Facebook video that circulated that we all saw was it gave me pause, and I've said that a few times. When I saw it, when it was sent to me on that Sunday, I immediately called the chief. He had seen it, and we were both, very taken aback by it. Now, I will say again, it's not the whole story. We owe everyone the time and the diligence to find out the whole story, and that's what we've been working on. So all we were able to say at the press conference that day was the investigation is done. So the reviewing the evidence, reviewing the body cam footage, doing the interviews, the investigation that's related to the complaint, the formal complaint that was filed by Mr. Sparks' mother, that is finished. And so we have all the information now. Now we move on to the personnel side of this, which is basically the what do we do? And we have some rules around that. All of our collective bargaining units have that, not just the police. And so we have to follow that process, and that's where we are now.
And do you have timelines that you're following?
I don't.
Is there an expectation that you have as the bully pulpit?
Well, look, and I shared this in my press conference too. A lot of lessons were learned by the Marcello Woodard case, and I think we all have to recognize and remember that. And the concern and frustration there, in addition to the terrible tragedy that happened, was we don't hear anything, right? So I don't want to go too long. I don't want to go weeks and weeks without anything. So we came out, we said what we said a couple of weeks ago. I don't want to put a timeline on it because if we don't meet it, it feels like we weren't being transparent. And that's not the case. It's just some things are not in my control, right? There's other people at play here. So I am committed to within 2 or 3 weeks, at least coming back out and saying something, even if it's not the final bit. But we won't go weeks without with total silence. I don't think we can do that anymore.
I think in my entire adult life, there have been voices that have been shouting, we need a Citizens Advisory Council for EPD. What is your take right now? Again, maybe not fair 7 months into the job.
No, Joel, I got this question when I was running. And my answer hasn't changed. My answer is this. I believe that we need a council. We need the community and our police to come together and have these conversations. What we need, in my opinion, is not what most people are asking for when they ask for a civilian review board. A civilian review board has specific authorities and specific abilities that it has. And to be quite frank, in Pennsylvania, it's really hard to make that happen. It's been overturned multiple times in the court system. We have a strong FOP. And so, they are going to be, speaking out with that. So I don't believe that what people are calling for in a civilian review board is what we need, but we do need a tool to come together around a table. And that's what I'm forming now. And that council is going to do 3 things. It's going to review policy and practice. So we want the community to sit with the police and review police policy and practice to tell us where we think we have concerns and we need to make changes. It's going to serve as an opportunity for incident response. So when we have an incident like we have with Mr. Sparks, we have a room of people from the community that we can talk through it with and say, look, this is what we're seeing. Do you see this too? Yeah. We're not going to do that to the general public. We can't, but we can do it in a small trusted group. And that's what this council can be for us. And then the third thing it needs to do is it needs to create a plan for consistent interaction between the community and the police when it's not in a law enforcement situation. We need our cops in our neighborhoods. We need some of our police to visit our churches. We need some of the members of our community to come to City Hall and go through and see and be educated on what our police do every day. So that's the third piece of this. It's not just when something bad happens. It's an ongoing trust building council. So I'm working on that. And I feel that we need to give that a chance before we ever consider anything further.
At one point, I thought we were talking about reviving the
SPCP with the Strengthening Police and Community Partnerships. That was the Schember administration's tool. I did think that we would simply revive it, but after lots of conversation and thought, we've really decided to put that past us, behind us. We will take the best of it. I've met with some of the former council members to understand what worked really well with it, but we are going to be launching a new council. Some of those older members will join us, but we have some new voices we need to bring in too. It will have a new name. It will have a new vision and mission. So it's building on that work, but I would say it's doing it in a way that meets the moment for right now.
All right. I've got to ask you the other side of public safety in another video that was shocking and caused a lot of traffic around here, and that is that man getting run over at 6th and Parade.
Yeah.
Got him in the middle of a scuffle between two women and gets run over, and that just brought up all kinds of conversations about the safety of the downtown.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that particular area is on our radar. And I think I mentioned maybe when I was here last time, I was on third shift right along with the cops last month or 2 months ago. And one of the things I wanted to see was that, because we know that there is an establishment over there and people do tend to congregate after the bar closes. I do want to say that the bar owner, in my opinion, does the right thing. He closes when he's supposed to, which is 2 a.m., but the people congregate after. It's hard to stop that. People are allowed to hang around, but that coupled with the kind of establishment on the corner where people are parking their cars and they're going in to get snacks, it's just leading to a lot of issues. But I would really argue to you that's an isolated incident. Like it's, yes, that particular area.
The officers were right there.
They were
when
right
that
there
happened.
because, as I said, I mean, the night I was out, we had 6 cruisers over there at the time the bar lets out, because we know it has the tendency to lead to something else. And I don't want to downplay it because it was terrible what happened. And I understand that we want everyone to be safe. But I would argue to you that's not widespread throughout the city. Yeah. It is one establishment in a very localized situation. And I think our police are doing a really good job of getting over there and dispersing the crowd. And then we don't have things like we had in that incident.
Yeah. You've made the decision. You're bringing rental inspections in. What was the reaction of the landlords?
I was really grateful that they were open to having good conversation with us, and we did meet with them a few times, understood their concerns. I was firm to say, here's why I'm doing this, and I think they understood. And then they gave us some feedback that we were okay to take. And I think where we landed was a good middle ground. And I think they understand. And I think we all agree this is going to be really good for the city moving forward. So, we'll see. I mean, we're going to take it over effective October 1st. So, we're working with BIU to do a transfer of data and to get our own kind of internal processes down and make sure that we're ready. I think we will be. I'm really grateful to have Catherine Easterling at the head of that Department of Neighborhood and Economic Development. And so, it's interesting. I got an email last week from a guy that told me that he had heard what we were doing. He went down to City Hall because he didn't know if his apartment had ever been registered. It hadn't been.
Wow.
He was living in really bad conditions, like downstairs basement, no egress, all these concerns, mice. And he said, I never knew. And this apartment was never registered. It was never inspected. And now he was getting out. But his point was like, I just can't believe that for so long, this was allowed to happen. Mm-hmm. And so it was a reminder, like, we have good landlords, no doubt. We also have some ones that take advantage, and we need to crack down on that.
Well, there's some pretty blatant ones. And that leads me to ask about compliance. We should be able to have, at a very granular level, on record, every rental unit and understood who is the owner and what's that owner's contact information. It goes right to that House bill that Representative Mirsky just got the governor to sign.
Yep.
We need to know where everybody is.
And we talked with the landlords about this. We said, how do you feel if we make this public, right? If we at least have a list on our website that says these are the landlords or these are the addresses that are in compliance. And they had no problem with that. And they said, yeah, that would help us. Because again, the people that we're talking to are the quote unquote good landlords. So they tell us we have no problem with that. I mean, rather than, making a wall of shame where we list all the folks that are not in compliance, right, what we want to tell our, city tenants is check this list before you go and sign a lease, and just make sure that the place is in compliance, and that way you'll know. So that's absolutely information that we're going to put public. We won't have it ready October 1st, but I would say at the beginning of 27.
What about the communication streams too? I mean, a lot of the folks that rent the substandard housing are either like new Americans, or they just can't afford $850 a month. And so a landlord will bring them in for 5 or 6, but it's overrun with varmints or what have you.
Look, I'm
seeing this on Facebook.
I continue to say this is also a stock problem. It's an inventory problem. If we don't have enough quality, affordable housing, then a landlord, if they want, could say, well, you don't like it, go somewhere else. If there's nowhere else to go, the market doesn't exactly work well. You know what I mean? Well, it works well in his favor because he can jack up the rent. So we do need the inventory and the stock. And I am encouraged to see, I think there's some real movement there with Infinite Erie and some of the priority projects they're talking about. So that's a good thing. The other thing is, I've been out a lot talking to a lot of new American groups. And one of the really interesting things I hear that's common to all of them is people, first of all, there's a language barrier. And like, what do we fundamentally do about that? Like, it's so basic, but it's so real for people. Sure. And then there's just a lack of fundamental knowledge about a lease and how to read it and what's legal and what's not. And I was actually last night, I was with Ella, which is the Latino Leadership Association. And they're telling me, people bring a lease and we'll say to them, yeah, it's legal. We wish you would have looked at it because there's all kinds of awful things in there, but you've signed it. And so we really, and I think it's on the city now because I don't know who else to do it. We have to do better education with people just on the basics of what to look for and how to be a responsible tenant and a responsible landlord. We have to do some of that. We have to work with our partners to do it. I think we have to work with the schools to do it.
Sure.
But it's education all around. And that language thing is a really important piece of this conversation in a city like Erie.
I want to talk about the possibility of new construction.
Yeah.
And I just got to admit that this has been in my cross since I drove down 11th Street and seeing
11th and what?
It would be west of Select Specialty.
Okay.
So right kind of behind Prep and there's block after block after block of empty lots, empty parking lots. I guess maybe when the foundries were up and running, that's where people parked. But it looks like it's a very, very desirable neighborhood where you could put maybe 40 units, 40 houses or townhomes or multifamily right in the middle in a walkable distance. Maybe even some of it could be college housing for Gannon. How do you get a developer to see that dream like that?
Yeah. So two things. And I think we talked about this before. When the next time you have Councilman Horton on here, you have him talk about what that was, which was mainly housing for many Black families that was taken down. And I think you'll hear, I didn't know that story and it's a compelling story. There was housing there and it was taken down and that's unfortunate. What do we do now? I do think you have to remember that's all privately owned now. So it was funny. I was on a call with a developer today about a potential project and the developer said, if the land we're talking about is city owned or redevelopment authority owned, or even like a really friendly nonprofit owned, this makes it a lot easier. But you have a private owner who's holding on to that parking lot and they're like, yeah, sure, you can have it for $4 million. I'll be honest with you, Joel. I know some of those lots and I think they were approached in some of the projects we wanted to do and they don't want to sell or they want an amount of money that then the project will never cash flow because of what you're going to be able to get in rents. So that's that particular parcel. That's what I'm going to tell you, I think, is the issue there.
Well, there's a story in Erie News Now about Land Bank and the redevelopment authority of the city. Are we keeping the gas pedal down when it comes to blight abatement?
So with blight abatement, we are, but I would argue to you, and I think I've talked about this certainly before, we do need to turn the corner to infill development. So we can't just be taking stuff down. Right. There are cases where we have to, don't get me wrong. And we know we still have work to do in that area. But I think we have shifted more toward looking at infill. If we're taking something down, what are we putting back up in its place? And I think the redevelopment authority and how they're kind of looking at development and how they're thinking about some projects I know throughout town, I think that's where the focus is going. We're never going to lose sight of the blight, but we do need to move past it and now start building back again.
Do the various organizations have the capacity that they need? I'm thinking of East Side Renaissance. I'm thinking of Sisters of St. Joseph. Is it just a matter of cash?
They have the capacity. Let me be super clear. They do great work. All of those CDCs, Community Development Corporations, do great work, but they are limited in their capacity, money, certainly. So, they're going to, in my mind, they're going to continue to do what they do. The problem is we need this at a different scale. So even if the sisters are doing, 3 or 4 a year, and I think that's probably a lot, which is great, and we appreciate that from them. We're 250, 300, 400 units short. Like, we got to get this up to scale. So I think where Infinite Erie, and I know the work of Wyatt Schrader is going, is let's take some of our local CDCs and let's partner them with larger developers and let them be co-developers. So the CDC entity might own the land and might do the community outreach, but you bring in a national or more regional developer who can really execute those larger developments. I think that's the direction we have to go. Now, we never want to lose sight of the local neighborhood stuff, but in order to get to scale, we need some of the bigger ones too.
Does it seem to you that we have the capacity as a community to not only do the homeless intensives, the 30 million for that, and we need another 30 million for infill?
So a lot of that work comes from tax credit programs.
Okay.
So if you're asking me, do we have the capacity? We have the capacity, but we don't have a lot of what's called LIHTC, that's low income housing tax credit developers in Erie. The only two we have are Hands and Crenshaw and Associates.
Okay.
Get paid to drive. Start a new career behind the wheel at the EMTA. If you are looking for a high-paying and rewarding career with full benefits and paid training, stop by or apply online today with the EMTA. Plus, EMTA riders can now enjoy free Wi-Fi on new, clean, and environmentally friendly buses to travel all over Erie County. Visit ridethee.com for more information.
Get on board EMTA. Get on board EMTA. Get
At Quickfill, what matters most is that our customers, our communities, and our heroes are taken care of. We start by providing American-made gasoline, which means you can buy local, keeping America and your communities strong. We also support vital charities every year and hold Operation Give Thanks each November to help provide a better future for our veterans and their families. We're proud to support the communities we live and work in, and we're doing our best every day to make our towns a better place. Quickfill, driving America.
Looking for amazing finds and incredible deals? Visit Erie City Mission Thrift today. From stylish clothes and shoes to quality furniture and home goods, you'll discover something new each time while changing lives right here in Erie. It's shopping that feels good and does good. Come see us in Erie and Girard. Erie City Mission Thrift. Thrift with a purpose.
Celebrate Erie. You getting excited for it?
I am excited for it. My team has done such a phenomenal job, and so
I love
I'm
Hunter.
excited.
Hunter's
I love
the
Hunter
dude.
too. He's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Rocco, Public Works,
Oh,
the
gosh,
cops.
yeah.
I mean, they're just we're ready. I think it's going to be great.
We should share to listeners how safe Celebrate Erie is. I mean, right down to the water walls,
everything.
You know, the
in
police.
fact, there was an incident I saw in the news last week in Seattle, and
Yes.
I called my team and I said, okay, I know we're ready, but I want one more time. I want to sit in a room and I want to understand what our plan is. What's our evacuation plan? We have Alan Clark now, emergency management coordinator that we hired. And I mean, Alan's whole job is emergency, preparedness and management. So God forbid, right? I mean, we can never know what will happen, but I know that my team is ready and we've prepared and we're doing everything we can to keep people safe. And I'm just very grateful to them. And Lou Tulio, what was the thing? Like, it never rained on We Love Erie days,
yeah, right?
So I don't know. Maybe I'll get some Tulio luck. We'll see.
You might. All right, let's talk about the budget again. Everyone I talk to says, boy, that mayor was just handed a big pile of $12 million out of whack here.
Yep.
What can you tell us? What's the update from PFM?
Well, I don't have much to report. The report that they're going to give us is what they've told me is hundreds and hundreds of pages. So now they've decided to give it to me in chunks. So the first chunk, the first chapter was our financial condition report, which they just gave to me last week, which really is just what they told us in April, but more in like narrative form. So that really just says where we are. Again, good news. Cash flow is okay. We don't have to borrow money to pay bills. Like we're fine with cash flow, but kind of three major issues. We have a debt cliff that's coming. We have this $12 million hole this year, and then we do have an ongoing structural deficit. So they're going to be coming to town soon. They've completed all their departmental review. They're going to be coming to town with basically what they told me is this: we're going to give you a short list of things you can do to close the $12 million gap this year. and then an even shorter list of what you can do about the structural deficit. So we'll get that from them probably in mid-August. We'll talk to council, of course, bring them in, and then we'll begin discussions so we understand what of those recommendations need to be put in the budget for 27, because it's almost budget time here. But we're still on track for all of that, but that's really where we are.
So the $12 million deficit is for the 2027 budget?
It's for the we are going to end 26 with a $12 million deficit.
So you'll actually have a hole this year.
We will actually have a hole this year. Again,
now, you were able to knock out $3 million?
We are working on the $3 million. That's again with contributions that we're receiving and then some cuts that we're making. So yes, I mean, I feel good about the 3, but beyond that, it's a lot. It's a huge hole.
You did say that you mentioned a department by department review. Was there a conversation about management? And again, I'm being very, very careful in what I'm saying here, but municipalities tend to be top heavy, lots of chiefs, not as many, workers. Is that something that is apparent to you?
I mean, Joel, the first cuts I made were in my own office, right? To try to deal with the top heaviness of everything. So, I mean, yes, we see that. And yes, I think PFM directed their departmental reviews to the places where it had a lot of increase in personnel over the past few years. So that's where we'll start. I hope that we'll be able to get to some additional job cuts through retirements. We do have some folks that are heading in that direction. And so I think as that happens in 26 and early 27, we won't replace them. And so that will also help.
That includes public safety too?
Public safety will have some retirements. That's a bit of a different story, right?
Okay.
And look, I mean, we're at full complement. I'm sure you and I will talk about public safety. We're at full complement with the police right now. It's a real question. If you go below that, what does it do to public safety and how do we make things continue to work? So what I really want to talk about and what we really need to be doing, and I've been talking to our local legislators about this, our state legislators, the LST, the local services tax. I've talked about this a lot. It's capped at $50. I think it's been capped like that since the 50s. We need the state legislature to remove that cap and allow municipalities to increase it up to whatever, $100. If we did that, now that would just be $100. So you would pay $100 a year rather than $50. I mean, I think that's pretty minimal. We're also fine with legislation, which I think it had, which under a certain salary, you wouldn't pay it. You'd be exempt. That would result for the city of Erie in another $3 million a year. Like that's not insignificant for us. So I'm really looking to see what are the other revenue streams we can look at after we do the cuts that we have to make, which we understand, but then what are the revenue sources before we go to our taxpayers? Because, we understand that people are already stretched. So we have to explore every other option first.
I'm hesitant to go into the weeds, but I will.
Okay.
What about this concept? And again, you're very cautious about home rule, but this idea, and I'm not sure I understand it at all, that some folks, my friend Tom Laird has calculated that we are overfunding the pension fund.
We are collecting too much in pension fund right now. Yes, I agree with him on that. We are.
So
we are going to
make that make sense.
Well,
for me.
Joel, the pension fund was completely underfunded for a very long time. I mean, and to credit the Schember administration, when they came into office, the bag of garbage that they were handed was a really underfunded pension. And when they did something very responsible back in, I think, 2018 or 19, they readjusted the assumptions for the pension, which hadn't been done since the 80s. When they did that, they found, oh my goodness, they were really underfunded. So they had to enact the special levy EIT. So everybody in the city of Erie right now, you and I, we pay our 1% EIT, and then we pay that additional 0.65%. That's the special levy just for pension. That's been working. That's been cooking since 1819 when they did it. But now what's happened is the pension now is getting to the point where and because the market has done very well, now the pension is at a point where it's probably being appropriately funded, but that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. What we have to do now is we probably have to look at that distressed pension levy and see if we can lower it. So if we can lower that for our taxpayers because we are collecting too much, then we will do that. That's part of the calculation with PFM.
But is all this still contingent upon Harrisburg legislation, or are we?
So no, these are two separate things, right? So the special levy, that 0.6, that goes just for the pension.
Right.
As I just said, our pension is okay. The general fund is not okay. The regular EIT tax that we all pay, that 1%, that goes into the general fund.
And you can't make that 1.25?
We cannot. We're capped at 1% unless we go to home rule. So if we went to home rule, then we would get rid of the third class city designation there. We can kind of make our own, as you know, that's what home rule charter does. And then we would have the power locally to increase that tax. So what I'm envisioning, right, we move forward, one tax is coming down, the distress pension, because we don't need that restricted money. One tax is going up, but it's kind of a net for everybody. One goes down, one goes up. But the one that goes up is helping us fund the general fund, which is really where we really need
So are
the
you
cash.
warming to home rule?
PFM is going to give us the financial breakdown for us.
Sure.
And that is what I'm waiting for.
You're waiting for
They're going to tell us this is what it could mean for Erie financially. And I will say again, I've been saying since I was running, that's what I've been waiting for. That's how we make this decision with full picture of what it means financially.
Yeah. The obviously, you know, you've kind of established that there's not a ton to cut, but there is some to cut.
There is some to cut. My people work really hard, Joel, and I got to tell you, they don't make good money. I mean, they really work very hard, and they're public servants. So I want to be cautious on that. Now, are there places that we could deal with some of our operating costs? You know, we do need to talk with our collective bargaining units about our prescription drug plans. We do think that's a place where there is some savings, and that's why we've been involving collective bargaining in all of this to say, look, guys, these are hard decisions. Let's make them together. Let's find some places that there's not too much pain, but we can save the city some significant money. Those are the things that I think PFM is going to bring us before we get to massive cuts, which the city cannot do. We can't lose services. I mean, I can't lose fire and police and streets and public works. I mean, these are the core services our taxpayers pay for. I can't
But there's
limit
less
that.
taxpayers, Mayor.
There are.
I mean, we're down from.
But I'm going to give you the
to
charter
92%.
school. I'm going to give you the charter school argument on that, right? What we always used to hear is, well, kids go to charter, so the money should follow them. Okay, but if I have 600 people in my school, right, and I have the staff to serve 600 kids, and 15 leave, right? And they take that money with them. It's not like that loss of 15 materially alters how many staff people I need. I still need the cafeteria workers. I still need all those things. And now you've just taken more of my money. And I would argue the same with the city of Erie. Yes, I understand we have less taxpayers, but what we need to keep this city running still is at a level that I would argue to you, just, you know, going down by 10,000 people. I don't think it warrants the kind of taxes, the kind of cuts that I hear people talking about. Not yet.
Okay.
Maybe PFM will tell me differently. I'm open to it. I'm going to read it. But as of now, I want us to look for revenue sources and cut where we can without limiting services for people.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have to wait, right?
You wanted to talk about the budget.
I know.
And we got into the weeds, but hey, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, and you know, because I keep on hearing these arguments, and I keep on looking at that population number.
Yes.
And
but I want that population number to go back up too, Joel.
All right. So what's the strategy?
What's the strategy? Okay.
Because it's not going to be hopes and dreams.
It's not going to be hopes and dreams. This is what I'm going to tell you. So, you know, when we announced the budget crisis, one of the things I said is I'm going to go out to the nonprofits and the businesses that we're going to talk. And some of them I need cash from, and I've asked for them. I've asked for cash. Some of them, though, I need them to encourage their employees to live in the city. And we're actually making progress on that conversation. And I hope soon in the next couple of months, we're going to have some announcements on that, where some of our businesses and nonprofits are going to say, we are going to incentivize employees of ours, particularly like, you know, some of our higher level wage earners, to buy homes in the city of Erie. And they're going to take that on. That is a strategy. And I went down and spoke on this week to Federal Resources Corporation, Jeremy Young. That's a strategy Jeremy's been using, and he's been using it for a number of years.
Yes.
So that's a strategy. The other thing is, and I took some heat for going to that defense summit, but if we can bring some of these large companies here, not necessarily defense contractors, but companies that are in the supply chain, both for defense, but also for private industry, we're talking about large amounts of jobs, good paying jobs, that will bring people to Erie. And here's the last thing. We have to market Erie as a place of affordability, even though I know our residents still struggle. But comparatively speaking, Erie still remains affordable. We have to market it as a place for remote work. We have to market it as a place for climate stability. We have to market the affordability we have, and we have to start going out and finding folks with that strategy. That's what I'm here for, working with the county executive and the chamber and Infinite Erie on that. we can do it, Joel.
Understood, but the spinning plates include you need to have decent housing for them to live.
Understand.
And you need to have a school district that meets its outcomes.
Yes. I can't control that.
You can't control that, but you sure know what the challenge is there.
I do. Maybe we'll talk about kids when we come back. Can we do that?
We can. Yeah.
Great. Now?
No, we can talk about it now. There's no more breaks.
Well, I guess let me say this, so what am I doing? I can't control the Erie School District.
Yes.
But I am focused on youth, and I have had so many conversations this summer. I'm going out and visiting so many of these youth programs and talking to these kids about what they want and what they need and whether they'll stay in Erie and how we kind of get them the skills that they need. I think we can, as a community, wrap around some of these things, have programs that are more robust, make our kids be more successful in the classroom. It's not just the school district's job. It's all of our job. And I'm committed to that. I'm committed to putting the city of Erie's youth development money into programs that are actually showing outcomes and helping the school district. We can do this if we're all aligned and if we put our money into things that are absolutely working. And that's how I think we help. Again, and it's so funny when I talk to these little kids, they're like, why are you making us wear uniforms? I'm like, oh no, that's not me. But, I don't control the schools, but we can all together come on this youth issue and I think make our kids more successful. And that's the route.
And we see the, Bishop Brock's, success.
Yeah.
The community centers can be a strong partner.
But we have to invest in them. Today I toured Groundwork Erie. Erin Carey is doing work with Groundwork Erie. She's got 20 kids between the ages of 15 and 17, giving them a job. They're planting trees. They're working the farm on 4th Street. They're testing our water and cleaning up some of our areas where we have creeks. Like, this is real work. They're learning real skills. Those are the kinds of things we have to elevate. And that's how I think we help the school district with their outcomes.
We're going to have the superintendent, Dr. Gibbs, in here in a couple weeks, and again, we'll talk about the new strategic plan, the new approach to curriculum, and all those things. You wrote an op-ed about shipbuilding. Tell me, what kind of hits did you take on this?
Well, I understand people are concerned.
Are they saying that you're responsible for what Israel does or something?
I'm not going to get political, but we all know that there are people who don't necessarily agree with kind of the direction that our government is going, and I'm not getting into that. And actually, it's tied to the conversation we just had. We need living wage jobs in Erie. Yeah. We pull families out of poverty with living wage jobs, and I will be at every table where there is a conversation about living wage jobs. No, I don't want to hurt our environment. No, I don't want to be a part of something that's devastating to the global political, scale. But I do need jobs for my residents here in Erie, and I'm never going to leave those tables. And so that's what it's about. It's about investing in workforce, bringing in jobs, bringing in investment, pulling our families out of poverty so their kids are doing better. And that's how we grow the city. There is a path, but yes, all the plates are spinning at the same time.
Yeah. Miller Brothers, you're close to opening that?
Phase 1 will be done. That's when we move over the Marsh Street mechanics. That'll be done August, September.
Okay.
But that's the small bit. That's like the southern part of that building. The big part is the northern part is the Emergency Operations Center. That's the bigger part of that project. We just signed the contract with the architect for design. So maybe we'll go out to bid for contracting in January, February. But phase 1 is almost done.
Are you needing more money for this to finish?
No, we'll see when we finally go out to bid for phase 2. Hopefully the bids come in reasonably, but that's the bond issue that was done. So that money is there. It does not come out of the general fund. It's the bond issue. It's debt. We're going to pay for that debt.
Seriously.
But we have it.
We're done with ARP money. Is it gone?
Almost gone. There's little bits.
That's what I'm concerned about with public safety. Like, we hired cops.
That is a huge concern. PFM's going to call that out. We hired 25 cops with ARP money. And then there were some grants that came in behind it. So, when I talked to the chief, I think he still feels that we can get some more of those grants, and we will have some attrition through retirement. So I'm okay if we dip to, 190. Like, that's a conversation I'll have with the chief. The problem is, like, cutting 25 cops, in my opinion, was just not feasible.
You can't do that.
Just not.
All right. Last question. Again, Mayor, 7 months. It's
7 years.
It's turbulent. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Talk about your proactive approach to improving the culture in City Hall.
I think that we are, the number one thing we're doing is trying to improve communication. I think that the biggest thing that gets in people's way, and that's everywhere, City Hall, any organization, when communication gets garbled, when there's rumor and there's not clarity and there's not transparency. I mean, that goes for me and the residents of Erie, but also with me and my coworkers at City Hall. So we're really working hard to improve communication, just make sure everybody knows what's happening. We're bringing people, we're making changes. I mean, we have some things coming, but we've got to bring people along with us in that, and also working with our employee activities committee to do events. So we're talking about a summer picnic for our staff, just making space for them to be together. It's hard work that they do every day. And telling them we appreciate them and giving them some space to just have a little bit of fun. And also myself, I try to be present in the building, say hello to everybody, go down and see how things are going. I think that from the top down is also critical. And I think we're making some progress there. So time will tell.
You're enforcing that kind of openness to your department heads. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And really also at the same time, though, we're talking about efficiency and effectiveness, never losing sight of the fact that our residents need us to urgently be working now. And we can't just kind of sit back and say, well, this is how we've always done it, or this worked. That is out the window. And I think everybody understands that, yes, we're going to have fun and smile and communicate, and we're going to demand a serious level of work from everybody. And those two things go hand in hand. And that's certainly, I think that's the vibe around City Hall right now.
All right. What are you looking forward to the most at Celebrate Erie? Are you going to be jamming
I love Arrested Development. I feel like they brought them here just for me. This is so my age. So nice. I'm pretty excited about that.
You've been listening to The Joel Natale Show, Erie, Pennsylvania's daily podcast from TalkErie.com. Subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher and get involved by emailing joel@TalkErie.com.